The Brothers of Liberty, here to remind you what true freedom is. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Liberty with the older brother Kelton. In this video, we're actually going to talk about a family that has been harassed in Virginia Beach, Virginia. According to the family, monkey sounds, slurs, racial slurs, and strobe lights has targeted their family, but police said they're powerless to stop it. Now they said when they moved in a year later in 2017, they're having deafening music. They made a noise complaint to the police, and it's actually got worse. Since July, they now have to endure recordings of screeching monkeys and racial slurs directed at their home. Now, after the national attention, the noise stopped, but they're now having to deal with the strobe lights, where even the children are afraid to go outside now. Now, the police said they're unable to do anything about it, the local police, because of the fact that it's not a violent crime. And even a city town person said that, yeah, it's definitely upsetting, but it's legal. And I like to interpret the law myself. The Attorney General said they're looking into this. They should have been looking into it a long time ago before it became national. But let's take a look at this. According to Virginia Rules website.org, and it says it's from the Office of the Attorney General. Um, crime, crime against a person includes hazing, robbery, assault and battery, extortion, threat, and harassment. Did you hear that correctly? Harassment. What the neighbors are doing is a form of harassment, and therefore it is a crime against a person, at least according to this website. Now, I'm not sure if this website is officially tied into the Office of the Attorney General, but that's what it states. Um, Now, when I actually looked at the statutes and stuff relating to here, I can't find anything as far as the statutes, except for the fact there is one thing about civil case. And the civil case itself states this. Um, an action for injunctive relief of civil damages or both shall lie for any person who is subjected to acts of intimidation or harassment. That's the first one right there. Violence directed against the person or vandalism directed against or personal property. Where such acts are motivated by racial, religious, gender, disability, gender identity, sexual orientation, or ethnic omicity. Now, what did that say? That said intimidation or harassment. So that as far as a civil lawsuit, they can go ahead and pursue that and talk to a lawyer about that. And as far as the harassment against the crimes against person, that's definitely something the Attorney General should look into. And if indeed the cops were not either were ignorant and didn't know the law, or they deliberately didn't do nothing. And I can't believe every cop, including the captain and chief of police, didn't know the law. I mean, it's their job to know the law, and if they didn't, they should have did reference to it instead of waiting for it to become national news now. And this is what happens where you have the bad cops and the good cops, and minority ruins it for the majority. Because most cops will go out of their way, and even if they were powerless to do anything by law, they would go to neighbors and say, "Look, this is what's happening. You need to calm it down." Because I guarantee you, if that happened to a cop's house, something would have happened. Now, some people say because it's not a white family and black family, that's um, why it was allowed to go on. But I'm not even going to use that. I'm not going to use race because yes, race could be a motivating factor and why the cops didn't do nothing. But let's even say this. Let's say if it was a cop house that it was happening to, how many people, raise your hand, thinks that it would have continued for 3 years? Go ahead, raise your hands. Oh, nobody hands? No? That's what I thought. Because I know it would not have happened. So now with the race being an issue, especially with the racial slurs, at least the race was an issue for the neighbor, and that should have constituted at least a hate crime as well. And so some people say, well, that's a slippery slope. No, it's not. If that's being blasted, obscenities, there's laws against obscenities. And yes, there is free speech, but when you're blasting that for everyone to hear, especially directed at a house, and it's only being blasted towards a black family's house, that could be a hate crime, or at the very least harassment if you don't want to go on that slippery slope. But that's just my thoughts and opinions on it. What are yours? Like, share, subscribe, and if you're in Virginia, definitely share the bejeezies out of this, because we want people to know that that family does have people on their side. And I think this was definitely an injustice for them, and an injustice for all the good cops out there, because this is showing that the cops are trying to hide behind something. The city attorney general, they even want to do nothing. So, and that place is near a military base. So, there's definitely could have happened to a military family or whatnot. And I bet you it would have been handled differently then. But that's just my opinion. Again, thanks for watching the Brothers of Liberty, and we're always here to remind you what true freedom is.